We're back now quickly on the show to continue discussing from our previous, segment at the beginning of the show regarding the appointment of potentially Ben Johnson to the Las Vegas Raiders. Now we're going to talk about Marcus Freeman. Not really a name associated with the NFL really this year. He's obviously doing all of his work at the college level, right? Doing a great job at Notre Dame. He's going to be playing for a national championship this upcoming Monday, but his success and the way he's improved and his development has gained the attention of a lot of people in the NFL. And what stands out about Marcus Freeman and really the connections to the NFL is that really with the Chicago Bears, I should say, during this extensive, head coaching search that they've been on, rightly so. I remember at one point, their general manager Ryan Poles saying that they were that we may see some unexpected candidates for them interviewing for their head coaching position. Really, because they just wanted to cover all the bases. They wanted to be very thorough about it and really just turn all possible stones to make sure they get the ideal candidate in there to be their head coach, because obviously they know the importance of what they're dealing with, right? They got Caleb Williams in the end, but now that you actually have him, you can't mess it up and not take advantage of it and just have like another Justin Fields situation, right? So this is as important as any decision that we're going to see this offseason. So obviously Ryan Poles made that statement because he knows the severity of their next move. So now we get to this report, right, about Marcus Freeman, and it definitely fits what Ryan Poles is saying, right? I was not expecting to be talking about Marcus Freeman in any relationship to the NFL, at least not yet, because of his early success so far at Notre Dame. I just felt like it's a bit early, but I'm not going to get into it yet. I'm first going to, let you know what the report said. It came from the NFL Network this past Sunday that Chicago would like to have an interview with Notre Dame head coach Marcus Freeman. And while he's like knowing from an outside perspective what Marcus Freeman is like based on, some of the quotes he said and, just watching some content on him, there's no way he's taking like any calls or anything like that right now. He's 110% engraved in trying to win this national championship. So it's been, a couple days now since this report's come out, but I don't expect any sort of interview until after the national championship. So that's where, we haven't really seen anything regarding an interview with Chicago and Marcus Freeman yet, but I still think it's a possibility that it is coming up right after the national championship, right? And on that note, while he's got, the national championship to prepare for, it hasn't stopped the NFL from noticing him and, talking about him, obviously, sooner rather than later. What he's doing is getting a lot of attention, right? And not just the success on the field, but also I think what's really attractive of him from a head coaching perspective is how you hear him talk in some of these press conferences, right? How, very like just straightforward, and there's no like sarcastic or any sort of, like funny business around him, I guess is the best way to say it, for lack of a better term, right? He's very serious and intentful about his job and the kind of program that he wants to build there at Notre Dame. And I think what the NFL has also noticed, going back to the performance aspect of it all, is that he's only in his third season as the head coach of Notre Dame, and he has a 14-1 record this year. They're in the national championship. He has a 33-9 overall record in his 3 years there, and he's improved that record each and every year, right? He's had some head-scratching losses for sure, but still, you can't ignore what he's doing at Notre Dame, and especially this year, right? In the first year of the expanded playoffs and things like that, and really having Notre Dame in this competition where in the old format they might not have made it, and the way that he's performed, and not only how he's performed, but along the way during this run, beating some high-profile opponents like Indiana, and how impressive they were in some of these games. I think most people were still going to go with Notre Dame, but that was an impressive win just based on how they won. Also, beating Georgia and Kirby Smart as well, a established, very well-known program in college football. Notre Dame was able to beat them, through their identity and how they play, tough defense, running the ball at an efficient level. They were able to defeat Georgia, right, one of the favorites. And then this past round, they played Penn State in a game where most people were siding with Penn State. And again, through the same way, great defense, tough running through Riley Leonard, and just making and winning the key moments. Notre Dame was able to win again. So they not only beat Penn State and James Franklin, Georgia and Kirby Smart, and Indiana as well. That's also, holds its weight, certainly, with some of these NFL teams, right, looking for their next guy to lead their franchise. And it's why Chicago reportedly, in their words, have done an extensive research on Marcus Freeman for months, is how they put it in this report. So it's clearly something that the Bears have in mind, and they've surely noticed the leadership aspect of it, right? The player development, the excellent clock management. If we're gonna get really niche about this whole situation, the in-game changes, the calls that he makes, and things like that. Able to pivot when something's not going well, and just really managing and controlling the game to the best of his advantage, and getting the best out of his players. Like Riley Leonard, he might not be the best passer necessarily, but in those crucial moments when you gotta have it. And even credit to Marcus Freeman also for really leaning into his ability to run and having success that way is another reason why I think a lot of people are coveting Marcus Freeman for an NFL coaching gig as well. So all of the good things are obviously there with Marcus Freeman, who is only still like 39 years old, and really on the brink of such a career milestone, potentially this upcoming Monday. I want to say that first on this topic of, should Marcus Freeman consider a move to the NFL? I think my answer would be yes, but just not yet. I think it's a bit early. Like I mentioned before. In 2025, I feel like Notre Dame is still just it's just like I said, they're just on the brink of really having a special, run here. I think this is really the beginning of it, of being like a established playoff team with Marcus Freeman, at least maybe for just one more year. But if they're able to, get over the hump and win the national championship, that's going to do wonders for their football team, for their program, for the university as well, and, for years to come, right? Because everyone is going to notice that and look at Notre Dame differently, right? And he's going to obviously get a lot of credit for it, and I just feel like that's a special thing to be part of. And based on Marcus Freeman, who he appears to be, just again, from an outside perspective, he was promoted to be the head coach after, he was an assistant coach, and very young, still a very young head coach, and probably feeling like he really had to do a lot to build this program up as the leader of it. I'm sure that he wants to have some years there and really benefit and really enjoy where he's brought Notre Dame to, essentially. So I feel like just making a move to the NFL, while it is intriguing, it's really not going anywhere. If he wins the national championship, or really if he loses also, Notre Dame is still gonna have a lot of attention and a lot more, notoriety going forward when it comes to, these big games and performing at the biggest stage. That narrative has sort of changed, right? I would say. So with Marcus Freeman, and he can still do a lot more in college football, I believe, with Notre Dame than kind of just rushing to the NFL in 2025 or something like that, right? I still feel like he's got a lot to do with Notre Dame, and again, if he continues to have success there's 31 other teams that are going to be interested in Marcus Freeman at some point over the next, few years, right? The NFL is really not going anywhere. And really, I just mentioned Chicago as being interested because obviously they're doing their head coaching search. But, I just feel like if it's not Chicago this year and if nobody else is interested, if Notre Dame, again, we're talking about them at this point next year, there's going to be other offers. There's probably going to be more offers by that time. So there's no rush in anything. He's still extremely young, and he could have, again, a lot of influence and a lot of success at Notre Dame, sort of like the conversation we've had with Dion at Colorado, right, and really making that his own. I think Marcus Freeman has an opportunity to do that here, and he's already started to do that this year. And again, if he's able to do that and then leave it in a spot where he feels comfortable after a couple years there, then he can make the move. But really at this point in time, for him to consider a move to the NFL in the next year or two, I think that would be a bit too early. We'll see. This is not the last time we're going to talk about Marcus Freeman being connected to the NFL, but it's just the start of it, and I think it's warranted for sure. But like I said, it's probably going to be a couple years before we see anything really kind of cement itself. But that is all that we have on the head coaches in today's episode. But we have one more topic to get to regarding the Cleveland Browns and just kind of giving an overview of their future, because we didn't talk about it on this show, but obviously the setback that Deshaun Watson suffered really puts this Browns team in a real problem, obviously, going into next year. And how does that affect what they do in the draft, in the offseason, with Myles Garrett also, right? If you were unaware, that's also something that they kind of have to manage there. So we're going to talk about it, and I'll inform you guys more on all the details regarding the Cleveland Browns going forward when we return after this break.